Unlike the former Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, who is classy, and she is not going to go on a "I told you so" tour now that Donald Trump has tanked the global economy. But I'm not as classy as her. You see, so many people, including myself, tried to warn, screamed into the void that a second Donald Trump term was not going to be like the first. But for those that love to fuck around, the find out is here. Welcome to the weekend edition of The Danielle Moody Show. Let's get into it. Friday was quite the fucking day on Wall Street and around the world, as Donald Trump's Liberation Day had set off a absolute shockwaves through Wall Street, dropping the Dow to numbers that we have not seen since the pandemic. But where do I want to start off today, friends? Pretty much with "and I told you so." You see, to anyone who is actually listening, anyone who is listening to the myriad of economic scholars who said Donald Trump's ideas around tariffs are not a good idea. Our economy is currently very strong and is the envy of the world. Donald Trump's favorite word, tariffs, could send us careening into a fucking recession. They tried to warn you, but Wall Street, because of their greed, right, and desire to have even more deregulation, even more tax breaks, said they'll roll the dice. And who is going to pay the cost of their gambling? Oh, not just them. Maybe they'll, lose 100 million or what have you, but they have the money to spare. It's the rest of us that have our retirement, our elderly years, our lives, some of us wrapped up in 401ks and pensions, where we chose not to gamble on our retirement, but turns out they don't really give a fuck. So I start out today with this piece from Nicholas Grossman, who is the editor at large of Arc Digital on Substack, and he is a teaching professor at the University of Illinois. And he wrote this: "Tariffs expose Wall Street's misplaced faith in Trump." Now, I have no idea why anybody would have faith in Donald Trump at this late stage in the fucking game, nearly a decade into Trumpism, but I digress. "Bankers and business leaders imagine a more reliable, less protectionist version of the president than the one that actually exists. Now they're finding out the hard way." Here comes the find out part of the fuck around. "Despite living through the volatile Trump presidency, which got rich bankers tax cuts for income and capital gains, but ended with mismanagement of COVID." I like the way that they use mismanagement here. We're talking about by the time that Donald Trump left office, nearly a 500,000 Americans were dead. Then seeing him lie about losing the 2020 election, commit crimes, get indicted, and run against rule of law, many financial leaders supported Trump in 2024 and expected good things from him. And my question is, why? When you run down that list of all of the things that you learned about Donald Trump from 2017, when he took office, till when he left office, and then all of the lying, the court cases, the indictments that would happen when he left office, why the fuck would you choose to gamble on this man again? Because of what? Greed. Enter the Gordon Gekko era that actually never really left Wall Street. If you remember in the 1980s classic, Gordon Gekko famously said, greed is good, right? And so here's what Nicholas Grossman continues to write in his piece. Some Wall Streeters, the Financial Times wrote a week before Trump took office, quote, feel able to embrace making money openly. The article quotes a quote top banker who is excited that most of us don't have to kiss ass because, like Trump, we love America and capitalism. Quote, I feel liberated, said another. We can say the R word, which I won't say, and pussy without the fear of getting canceled. It's a new dawn. You see, it was never just about, right, the tax breaks and the capital gains and the deregulation. It was always about ushering back in the good old white boys network that allowed, not only allowed, but celebrated toxic masculinity, that celebrated just absolute toxic, disgusting behavior that over the last several decades, we have worked overtime to rid ourselves of. You see, this is one of the reasons why Donald Trump and MAGA went to war first on critical race theory, because God forbid we teach children anything. But remind you, critical race theory is only something that is taught in secondary education, like grad school, law school, not in K through 12. But they use that as their entryway of hatred and the boogeyman. Then it turned into diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is where this current regime has its eyes set on rolling back. Why? Because just like those gentlemen in the Financial Times said, they want to go back to the era where, guess what? The women that were working in the office, they were the coffee girls that you could smack on the ass and tell to go make you a Xerox, or the black guy in the office that you could make N-word jokes at. And then when he asked you to stop, you would say, haha, why are you so sensitive? Right? You see, Donald Trump, for that era of the Gordon Geckos, right? The absolute greediest, slimiest bastards that ever lived. Donald Trump was their king. Donald Trump is their king. And they believed by bringing him back in that they would get back to the era that where they were on top and everyone else was smushed to the bottom. But lo and behold, dear friends, lo and behold, what's happened now? Well, take a look at the Wall Street Journal's headline today. The Wall Street Journal that is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who flooded millions of dollars into Donald Trump, whose entire Fox network is all about creating the smoke and mirrors around Donald Trump's genius. Take a look at their fucking headline today. Market carnage worsens. Right? Dow plunges 2,200. NASDAQ enters bear territory after China counters U.S. tariffs. And then down below, the little graph that I also have to the other side of the screen says Trump heads to golf club amid tariff turmoil. Oh, well, it seems that the boys over on Wall Street are a little upset. It seems that they are absolutely shocked with the fact that Donald Trump, who is a serial compulsive fucking liar, who is a grifter, who has done dirty on everyone from his contractors that he doesn't pay, from the students that he defrauded with Trump University, from the real estate people that he defrauded with lying and inflating the prices of his real estate buildings. I didn't think it would happen to us. Lions eating face. Fuck around and find out. So, where do these schmoes find themselves today? Well, the major single S&P 500 drops. The boardroom put up a wonderful graph that I want you to pay attention to here. Let's start at October 19th, 1987, Black Monday, when the S&P dropped 20.5%. And then the next time that something like this would happen would be, COVID, a global health pandemic. And then another time when you would see numbers drop in a considerable way was, the Great Depression. Fast forward now up to Trump's tariffs, which they really should have just called Liberation Day, right? Because that's what he's calling it, because he's liberating everyone from their 401ks and liberating them from their pensions. September 11th, 2001, Donald Trump is neck and neck with the fucking terrorist attacks that happened on September 2001. And I just think, dear friends, isn't that just accurate? Because Donald Trump, much like the people who attacked our epicenter of finance, New York, Donald Trump is doing the same exact thing. He doesn't give a fuck. Everyone has tried to convince us of Donald Trump's brilliance. Everyone has made excuses for Donald Trump's behavior. Oh, he's a good businessman. He knows how to run businesses. If by run them you mean into the fucking ground, the man bankrupted a casino. I think even a squirrel could run a casino better than Donald Trump did. He has filed for bankruptcies, I don't even know how many times at this point, maybe more times than Elon Musk has had to recall Tesla Cybertrucks, give or take, 7, 8, who knows? But at the end of the day, what is made true by the headlines at the Wall Street Journal and all of the shock and the awe and the clutching of the ties and the worry and the, oh my God, I hope he rolls these things back. Something occurred to me today, and it was this. They were okay with the racism, they were good with the misogyny. They applauded bathroom bans and transphobia. But now that their pockets are being harmed, they're, quote, shocked by Trump. That's it. Donald Trump was their man, and he probably will be once again. He'll throw them a couple of bones and quiet the murmurings while the rest of us are, on bread lines or on the unemployment line or both. Because there is one thing to be true, which is that this economy, the global economy, which is intertwined, right, with the rest of the world, that's how we do business through trade. And now that Donald Trump has incited a trade war with 180 countries, including territories occupied by penguins, it is clear that he's going to go all in. And for those that believe that Donald Trump is an idiot, which I've said before, he absolutely is. This is out of the autocrat's playbook. You see, you have to destroy, 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 destroy hope, destroy any sense of stability, destroy education, destroy the people's will. Create chaos, manufacture it, have people fighting over the scraps that you leave behind, making them desperate. Desperate in such a state, in such a tizzy, that they'll even roll over their own neighbors, their own family members just to survive. And that's when the autocrats swoop in. And that's exactly what Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the rest of the technocrats and the broligarchy are doing. Pay attention, dear friends. It's all a part of their plan. That is it for me today, dear friends, on the weekend edition of the Danielle Moody Show. If you are liking these episodes, and I hope that you are, please do take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that little subscribe button and help us grow this incredible community in Damn Nation. I am looking to get to 25,000 subscribers by the end of May, and we're so close. We're so close. So do make sure to subscribe and share these episodes. As always, dear friends, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. And particularly those of you who may be out in the streets protesting today, know your rights, stay safe, and do the damn thing. Appreciate you. See you back here Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern for the live edition of the Danielle Moody Show. Be well.